This short video is going to look at the different types of sources that you will find while doing your research. Some instructors may request that you find a certain number of primary sources, a certain number of secondary sources, or that you use at least one or two tertiary sources in your research. What do those mean? Well, let's start at the beginning. A primary source. Primary source is a document or physical object which was written or created during the time in which you are studying. All right, so these could be diaries, speeches, and letters, creative works, poetry, drama, novels, relics or artifacts, pottery, furniture and buildings, research notes, lab notes, raw data. All that can be a primary source. It is written at the time of creation, all right, or created, okay? And so it is about the original creator. What was it that was going on? What does it say about that? What does it say about the time? All right. Now, a secondary source takes it to the next level. It is somebody looking back at those primary source documents and interpreting them, considering them, and criticizing them, commenting on them. All right. We're going to say, back in the Great Depression, we found this to be the case based on these documents, these sources we found written at the time. That is a secondary source. These could be magazine and journal articles, criticisms and commentaries, nonfiction books about a topic, all secondary sources. Tertiary sources come along and they summarize that knowledge. All that information that was written in the secondary sources that use primary sources as evidence, the tertiary sources summarize it. And these are encyclopedias and textbooks, dictionaries, and even Wikipedia is a tertiary source. Okay, so now there's one caveat I want to talk about in this. Remember that a primary source is created at the time that you are studying. So for history or political science or sociology, something like that, if we want to look at, say, the 1980s, and we want to see, well, how did, during the 1980s, how did they feel about the Great Depression? We would look at what would be considered secondary sources about the Great Depression, commentary, criticisms about that time period, the 1930s, but we're going to look at it in the 1980s, and we're actually analyzing the 1980s. So those now are primary sources. Okay, another point of emphasis to be is that just because it's in a magazine doesn't make it a secondary source. For example, plenty of magazines will do interviews. Those would be considered a primary source. It's an interview, it's created at the time, it's an interaction with somebody reflecting about something. Okay, so these are very general columns, silos of information, ways to organize these topics, but they are ways to guide you. They are the correct ways to look at it. Just remember that there are a few caveats in there. Now, if you have any questions, please let us know. We'll be happy to help. Thank you.